We're going to start off by measuring the window so we know what size of window to order, and you want to measure it in multiple spots. So first we're going to measure here. It's 48. Also 48. Measure up at the top. And we'll measure down at the bottom, and that's 48.5. So we want to order a window that's the smallest dimension, so we're going to order a window that's 47.5 on all sides. That way it gives us room for weathering and caulking. Okay, since this wall and window has already been caulked and painted in, I'm going to take the razor and score it along the edge and cut it so that when we remove the window it doesn't pull big chunks of the plaster out with it. This window has a few interior screws, so I'm going to go through and make sure all the interior screws are out, and that's very important to do. The next step is to take the sliding part of the window out. So we're going to move it so that it's in the middle so that you can take a hold of it, and you're going to push it up and pull the bottom out, and it comes right out. The next step is to take the center post out, and to do that we have a little brace right here where there's a screw going down to the base and a screw going to the side, and there's the same thing on the bottom, screw going into the side and screw going up, and so we'll remove that. Now that the screws are out, we're going to try and break the center post free by using a mallet. You can use a pry bar or screwdriver like that to get it free. Now we're going to remove the frame. That came out a lot easier than I thought. Now, in order for the new window to fit in easier, we need to clean out all of the old grout and caulking and everything around the windowsill. It's nice and smooth and ready for the new window. And then we're going to take a vacuum and clean up all the debris. And my preference is to find a guy to come and clean it up for you, but if you can't, you can always do it yourself. What we're going to put in is a dual pane, low E, argon-filled window. It has a U factor of 0.3, a solar heat gain coefficient of 0.21, and visible transmittance of 0.48. And this window took about 10 days to order and get in from the local hardware store. Okay, to install the window, to make it easier, we're going to remove the screen, and to make it lighter, we're going to remove the window. Actually, putting the window in place is actually a two-person job, so I have my little sister here to help me. Okay, this is the spirit level, and right now I'm checking for plumb, which is straight up and down, and you check for levelness horizontally. Once you have the window level, plumb, and centered in the window area, then you're going to take and use a drill with a masonry drill bit to drill into concrete and brick to make a spot for the concrete anchor screws. Take your concrete anchor screws and screw them in. Okay, in order to fill in this giant gap up here, we're going to use some of this, which is called backer rod, and it's about 3/8 of an inch, and so we'll just push it up in there before we foam in around the window. The next step is to take a window and door foam sealant, and this doesn't actually expand as much as some of the other ones, and you want to be sure to get the right kind, because if it expands too much it can actually put pressure on the window and actually make it hard to open and close your window. So when we put this in, we're going to try and put the nozzle of the foam all the way to the back and let it expand out a little bit, but we want to stop before it expands out too much because we can go through and do a second layer. Now that the foam is dried, I'm going to trim it with a razor blade to about 1/4 of an inch below the surface of the window, and then we'll fill it in with caulking. Now that we're done trimming all the foam, we're going to take this mortar caulking to fill in the area all the way around the window. And a trick to do that, to keep your job nice and neat, to make sure that the caulking doesn't get on the window or the brick, is to tape it off. Now I'm working my way down the wall with the caulking. We're trying not to get too much on the window and too much on the brick. In the low areas we'll have to put a little more than some of the higher areas, but we're not too worried because we can smooth it out with our fingers and a putty knife once we're done. Now I'm going to smooth out the caulking with my finger, and it's okay for it to look rough because the original mortar was a little more rough looking. So when we go through and smooth it out, some areas, because the caulking sticks to your finger, you might need to use a putty knife because it doesn't stick to it as much, and you can push it up in areas where it's missing. And over in areas like this, we want to kind of spread it out into the old mortar so it kind of looks similar to what the old stuff looked like. Once you have finished the caulking, you want to make sure you remove the tape before the caulking sets up and dries completely. And then, after you remove the tape, you'll need to touch up any spots that were messed up from the tape removal. And with that, we are all done installing our new window. And to recap, we removed the old window, went down to the hardware store and purchased a brand new window, and the window plus supplies cost just under $200, and it takes about 2.5 hours to install from start to finish. And don't forget, you have to wait overnight for the foam to dry before you can put in the caulking. Go Cats! Yeah!